What's up YouTube? Today I want to talk about some more advanced bass sound design techniques. So I'm going to just assume that you already know how to make a good sounding Psytrance bass in Serum or Vital. If not, check out some of my other videos. Otherwise, we're just going to dive straight in. So the idea today is I want to show you guys how to take a sound that you've already made and be able to break it down into a more molecular level, how to split it and do all sorts of interesting things with your Psytrance bass. I'm sure you guys remember the video I posted a little while back about the harmonic split technique, the even and odd harmonics left and right kind of thing. So we can use something similar to that to create interesting sounding bass sounds. So one thing I just want to show you guys quickly is if we take a saw wave and we break it down into its like molecular partials, we can recreate the exact saw wave again. And this gives us the opportunity to really fine tune the envelopes of, for example, just the subtone, just the midtones, and just the high tones. So I want to show you guys something theoretical, and then we can go into something a little bit more creative. So as you can see, we got a traditional saw wave style Psytrance bass. What I want to do is I want to split this up into layers. Let's just copy and paste this onto this layer over here. I want to make sure that everything phase random on 0, and I want to make sure that they're tuned to the same thing. So here what I want to do is make sure that I've got an LFO to control the envelopes of the actual oscillators. I find this is a little bit cleaner than doing it on the actual envelopes because Vital's release is a little bit... I just find it's, you know, when you set the release to 0, then you have that click. Whereas if you do it on the oscillator level, you can avoid that click. Anyway, so here what I want to do is jump in here. And I want to remove everything to the right-hand side of the cursor over here. So we can say clear right. And we're left with just the single sine wave. So what we've done now is we've doubled up the fundamental tone, and we can jump in here and we can actually remove the fundamental tone from this oscillator. So now if we have a look at our scope, we should have recreated the exact sound. Okay, so what happens here, you can see that the saw is slightly rounded, and it's because of the way that Vital kind of normalizes things automatically. So how we can adjust for that is to just change the kind of difference in volume that each of these layers has. So by just changing the amount of modulation that happens on that sub layer, you can get it back to the saw wave. So we can actually go ahead and expand this idea a little bit further and paste. So now we have a third layer over here. So this one, I want to have my second and third harmonic. And here we can go and clear right. So we have just 2 of these partials. And then this layer, we want to remove these 2. Okay, so are you following? We've got the fundamental, harmonic 2 and 3, and then the rest of the sounds on this layer. So we can go ahead and just make sure phase random is on 0 here. We can turn this down to the correct volume, and then let's put this on here. So we're going to have to go and adjust these 2 to make up for that difference in volume like I was explaining with the normalization and stuff. Also just going to want to make sure that for now, all of the oscillators are going through the filter, but I'm going to show you something interesting a little bit later on. But for now, let's just send all of the oscillators through the filter just so we can get an exact sound. Okay, so the bin 2 and 3 we're setting to about 0.7, and the fundamental we're setting to 0.76, while the rest of the tones are going all the way up to 100% on the amplitude. And that should build us the exact saw wave again. So you're probably thinking like, oh, this is such a ridiculously long-winded way of building a saw wave when you could just set the oscillator to a saw. However, we can expand this process now. We can have separate envelopes on each of these layers to really fine-tune the sound to the point where we might not even need a filter. We can dive into the oscillators and like fine-tune each one, where we're creating, for example, like a stereo split on the top layers, where we could do like a unison type of thing. So what I want to do now is I want to break up these LFOs, keep the things a little bit more easy to follow. I'm just going to create a new envelope here, paste this, set this to 1/16, and have like 3 layer envelopes like this instead of having like one here and the two below, we're going to recreate here. So this one is 0.7, that's layer 2. So let's do this one, modulate this to 0.7. This one was 0.76, right click, enter value, 0.76. And then the third layer, paste, 1/16, turn the smooth down to 100%. And then we can actually just remove this LFO. So now what we've done is we've created a split LFO. We actually want to turn each of these to envelope mode as well. Envelope mode. Each one controls these partials individually. So just to get a more of an accurate representation of what is actually happening here with the sound, I might just want to solo this bass and turn off the filter so you can really hear what's happening. So using just envelopes, we can craft the kind of tonal balance of the sound that we need for the Psytrance bass by just like enveloping the amount of high frequencies in at the right time, enveloping the amount of low frequencies and subtone at the right time. So this is incredibly powerful because obviously filters have pros and cons. They have things like distortion and resonances and inaccuracies, which you might want in your sound or you might not want in your sound. So being able to create things on a kind of additive level is incredibly powerful because you can avoid those, say, nuances that a filter might add. So we could take things a little bit further, and like I said, we could do the unison thing with this layer. If you wanted more of a stereo type of effect, or what you could do is you could potentially draw in and animate the amount of partials in the sound. Wavetable editor, we can add a new frame. And then here, what we want to do is on the first one, go clear right. And then also what we want to do is click waveform blend. And then this should create a blend from that high partial sound to just the fourth harmonic. Now what we can do with this is we can modulate this with another LFO. And then what this is going to do is it's going to simulate the effect of a filter. So another cool thing we can do is we can set the fundamental to direct out, and let's say the second set of harmonics to direct out as well. And then we can either just filter the third one, so we have like a traditional filter effect, or just mix it slightly, get just the drive of it, or we can apply effects like a chorus to just those top bins. You notice how, like, no matter what effects we put on there, once we've split it up like this, it doesn't affect that kind of punch of the sound because we've got the low end and we've got that punch kind of frequency isolated. So we can even go a step further and split this into individual layers of Vital. Have like one layer doing just the fundamental, and we can process that individually, and then just another layer doing those top frequencies like I was showing you now. Awesome. That's about all for today. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'm going to be uploading these presets to my Patreon for all my $5 supporters, so if you want to know what that's all about, check out the link in the description. And if you haven't yet, please consider subscribing to my channel and hitting that like button. See you guys next time. Cheers.